Let's dive into some rumors now. First up, we'll stick with the theme of wide receivers. Is Dez Bryant going to stay with the Cowboys? Well, I'm giving this one 3 stars. I do think it's likely you'll see Dez stick with the Cowboys. The report from Mike Fisher was that the Cowboys got such a cheap deal with Allen Hurns, they're able to afford Dez Bryant. Now, there have been rumblings about Dez's future, but let's not kid ourselves here. Allen Hurns and other signing Deontay Thompson are not replacements for Dez. Hurns is your new number 2 guy. Thompson, well, he is your Bryce Butler replacement. I don't think you're going to see Dallas dump Dez as we sit right now. The reason it's not 4 stars, you could see a scenario potentially, or maybe a good receiver. Calvin really falls to the Cowboys in round 1, and then they take another look at cutting Dez Bryant or even trading him. But as of right now, I am curious what you guys think post the Hurns signing, if you want to keep, cut, trade, or try and convince Dez to take a pay cut. But as we sit right now, I think the Cowboys are going to keep Dez Bryant, probably at his current number. Maybe they redo the deal a little bit, but Dez Bryant is still the Cowboys' best receiver. It doesn't make sense for Dallas to move on from Dez because the wide receiver room, even with the additions of Hurns and Thompson, still gets worse. Now, I do think there will be a receiver the Cowboys move on from because there's too many bodies right now, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. But first, a word from our sponsor, The Guild. Now, we just teased that there are Cowboys moving on from a wide receiver. Yeah, this one to me is actually a 4-star rumor because there's just too many bodies right now in the wide receiver room for the Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't make sense for them to keep everybody on this roster. Again, I'm giving this one 4 stars. Dallas is going to move on from one of these wide receivers. As of right now, they've got $30 million committed to wide receivers. We'll take a look at their depth chart here in just a second. But Cole Beasley and Terrance Williams, to me, stick out as the guys and maybe aren't feeling quite so confident about their roster spot as of late. Dez Bryant, we know, is going to stay. Allen Hurns is your new number 2. Terrance Williams cannot be cut. His contract is not cuttable. However, Dallas could try and trade him. There's Cole Beasley, who is also a cut or trade candidate. With Hurns able to play the slot, maybe you dump Cole and put Ryan Switzer in the slot as well. Deontay Thompson didn't like the move at the time. Makes less sense now with the addition of Allen Hurns. Switzer and Brown were both on the roster last year. As of right now, Noah Brown is your number 7 wide receiver. So I don't know how great I feel about that one there for Brown. He might be stuck on the practice squad next year at most. As for the Cowboys wide receiver setup, I think they're going to make a move in the near future, either trading Cole, cutting Cole, or trying to trade Terrance Williams. There's simply too many bodies right now in the wide receiver room for it to make sense. So I want to know from you guys, what should the Cowboys do at wide receiver? Is it time to cut Dez? Do you want to cut Cole or trade Cole? Do you want to try and trade Teal because, again, you cannot cut him? Or do you say, you know what, let everyone compete, and then maybe you cut a guy like Deontay Thompson down the end of the stretch there? So I'm curious what you guys think. As for me, I'm trying like hell to trade T-Will, and I'm also looking into trading Cole Beasley as well. Maybe you can get a late-round pick in exchange. Speaking of Cole Beasley, did he play hurt last year? Well, another 4-star rumor on this one as well because, well, Cole more or less said he did. He said he's over a previous hamstring issue, said he's felt the best he's ever felt. And this is something that we actually mentioned on previous Cowboys reports during the year. Something didn't quite look right with Cole Beasley. That explains the massive drop-off in numbers. Yeah, the TDs were nice, but the receptions, the yards, all of that were just not quite the same. Didn't put up the same numbers that you want to see out of Cole Beasley. It could be why you could see Dallas try and move on from Beasley in the very near future. Fourth up, and then we'll explain to you guys what all these rumors mean here after this. With La'el Collins, could he move to guard? I'm not quite sure on this one, but I'm going to go ahead and give it 3 stars because with the way the Cowboys have approached their offseason, I kind of think they're, and I know they're at least open to moving Collins back to guard, which I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of. But Cameron Fleming could take over at right tackle. I need to see the contract details first. If it's starter money, that says to me, Fleming at right tackle, Collins at guard. But as things sit right now, the addition of Fleming allows the Cowboys to not have to go get a guard in free agency or in the draft. They still could draft a guard, or no, they're going to talk with Colton Miller as a pre-draft prospect visit. So it's not quite set in stone, but if I had to guess, at least with the way the roster is currently set up, Fleming's at right tackle and Collins kicks back over to left guard. You've seen the stars so far. For those of you watching the show for the first time, here's what they mean. 0 stars, it's fake news. It's the number of fights Odell Beckham won against the net. 1 star means it's a small shred of truth. Probably not going to come true, but we're saying it could happen. 2 stars means it's the people are talking, firmly in that rumor category. 3 stars means it's pretty likely. It's not quite set in stone, but it should happen. And 4 stars means that Dez caught it because, well, he caught it. It's going to happen. Number 5, is DeMarcus Lawrence going to play on the franchise tag this year? Well, 3 stars on this one as well. Both sides seem pretty happy to just say, yeah, let's do the tag this year. Lawrence will make over $17 million on that tag this season, and he wants at least $17 million per year on a long-term deal. That number is very specific. A, it's near the franchise tag number, and B, well, Lawrence's agent is the same agent for Olivier Vernon, and that's what Vernon got. The Cowboys, as of right now, don't plan on offering that amount of money, so it could be a franchise tag this year if Lawrence puts up another great season. Going to make a lot more than $17 million on the open market. All right, let's talk Earl Thomas now, the guys that everyone loves to talk about in the comments section. Is the addition of Earl Thomas and that dream, is it dead? Well, 2 stars on this one. People are most certainly talking, and Earl Thomas, I think, is once again kind of playing some PR stuff because he said he wants to be a Seahawk, wants to have his jersey retired, wants to stay in Seattle forever. Of course, Earl Thomas is in the last year of his deal, and he wants to get paid. And we know Seattle and Dallas had trade talks for Earl Thomas. Seattle wanted a first-round pick. Dallas said, nah, we're not giving up that for Earl Thomas, and then a new contract on top of that. So just keep an eye on Earl Thomas's future. Yes, he says he wants to be a Seahawk. If he really truly did above all else, I think he would have already signed a contract extension. I think in reality right now, the Cowboys, or Thomas and Seattle, are playing a bit of a chicken dance here. Thomas wants to get paid in a big, big way. Seattle's not quite willing to do that yet. So I don't think a trade will go down for Thomas, but I don't think the dream in terms of free agency is quite dead yet. Next up, will the Cowboys trade up in the NFL draft? And 3 stars on this one. This is really 3.9999 stars because I will be stunned if the Dallas don't at some point make a deal up in the draft. If not in the first round, I think at least in round 2 or round 3. So once again, 3 stars on this one here because I think it makes too much sense for the Cowboys. They've got a bunch of picks here. They've got 10 in this year's NFL draft. They'll be able to invest some extra picks to move up. I think you'll see Dallas make a big move in the draft. Maybe not round 1, but at the very least in round 2 or round 3. Speaking of the draft, are the Cowboys looking at Christian Kirk? Could he be a pick for Dallas? Well, 2 stars on this one. People are talking because Kirk is coming into Dallas for a pre-draft visit. Now, the Cowboys have already added Deontay Thompson and Allen Hurns, as mentioned earlier in the show, yet Kirk is still going to be one of the 30 official pre-draft visits. That tells me Dallas is not done looking at wide receivers for the draft. I think they'll continue to look at one. If a guy falls that they like, they could still take a wide receiver early because they're also looking at Michael Gallup. 2 stars on this one because he is going to have a private workout with the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys also met with Gallup before at the Combine. He was one of their official meetings there. So Gallup and Kirk, I think, are more day 2 options for Dallas. I do think, though, if it comes down to, let's say, a wide receiver and a linebacker, Dallas is going to go ahead and add the linebacker as well. But I do want to know from you guys, should the Cowboys still draft a wide receiver? Is this an area you want Dallas to spend another pick on? We'll get that weigh-in here up for you guys in just a second. I am okay with it. It does depend on where you add a wide receiver. I would prefer safety, linebacker, DT among the top needs, but Allen Hurns is only here for 2 years. Dez has a limited amount of time left on his deal. Terrance Williams will not be here for the near future. I think he's got 1 more year, and then he's gone. And then Cole Beasley has 1 year left on his deal. So I think receiver is still an area the Cowboys will look at, but it's not quite the 1st or 2nd round or 3rd round guarantee I thought it was earlier this off season.